how do I make it go next?
I've got a
Maybe page down? Is there a page down button?
Yeah.
There we go. Alright. Alright, so my name is this guy here, Graham-Cumming. I've done one balloon flight. What happened to me was my wife went on holiday with the kids, and I saw on Twitter James say, oh, we're going to do one of the ballast halo flights in Cambridge, blah, 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 because I've been kind of interested in this. And I just said, can I come? And what was really great was he replied and said, absolutely, just come. So I was in London, so I just got on a train and went to Cambridge, and just literally put some things in a bag and walked out the door and got to Cambridge. And that's one thing that's been really nice about this whole balloon world. It's like, yeah, come and do stuff. And that flight, I was a big help because I just sat there and then it disappeared into the sea. But it was very interesting because I got to see a lot of things, talk to Ed and other people. And so I got interested, and then I did a flight about a year later. I spent a year working on it really, 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 really carefully. And I think probably everybody does that at the beginning. And I've now spent 2 years working on the second one, which hasn't gone up yet, so at some point it will. Last year I gave a talk about everything that can go wrong, which of course, there were lots of examples, everybody hears them. But there was one thing that was missing from that talk, which Ed mentioned, which is to throw your payload down the stairs. And he was absolutely right, because what went wrong on my flight after a year of preparation was it hit the ground, which apparently is part of the whole thing. And when it hit the ground, everything dislodged. So all the batteries came out, and it was like, great. Now we sort of knew where it was. We did find it, but it is really worth throwing the payload down the stairs to see what will break. So I want to talk a little bit about debugging of things in general. Now debugging is something that's been around right from the very beginning. This is Ada Lovelace working with Charles Babbage, and they're working on what is celebrated to be the first program. And she wrote in the lecture, she says, think of my horror just discovering that the table and diagram, which is what she called the program, is seriously wrong. And then she said, I've worked on it for hours and I have made some more errors. So basically people were writing bugs right from the very beginning, even before they had a computer. So you should not be upset that you have problems with your software, because everyone has from the beginning. Another person who had this problem is Maurice Wilkes. Maurice Wilkes worked on the EdStack at Cambridge, which was one of the first computers, and he has this lovely thing where he says, I can remember the exact instance when I realized that a large part of my life from then on was going to be debugging, essentially. So you can imagine the horror. Can you imagine this? They've got computers like this is going to be fantastic, and it's like, oh my god, nothing works. And in fact, we're going to spend all the time. So you are going to spend all your time debugging, and it's the reality. That's why if you're working on software and if you're not a software engineer, and you get very frustrated about it doesn't work, all these things are wrong with my software, it's completely normal. I'm a very professional software engineer, and I do this all the time. Actually, the writing code is extremely difficult. In fact, the writing bugs is dead easy, because every software engineer does it all the time, without even thinking about it, every single day. So you're going to do that all the time. There are lots of estimates for this, but something like 2 to 4 bugs per 1,000 lines of code. And that's if it's really good code. And you're not that good, and neither am I. So your payload in the air is full of bugs. I know mine was, and I know there were problems with it. And you will spend a lot of time debugging. So, I actually think that I like to think of myself as a bugger, basically. So my job is to write bugs, then remove them later on. And incidentally, around the bugs, there is a program that does something. So you should think of yourself like this, and then you'll feel better if you realise that what you're doing is right. Now, if you're giving presentations, it's always a good idea to have attractive things in your presentation, such as fighter pilots and other attractive things. And in this case, not this fighter pilot, but actually this guy, Colonel John Boyd. Does anybody know who he is? Anybody a fighter pilot nerd? Okay, so he's kind of the father of the F-16 and a real fighter pilot. But he was also a guy who thought a lot about what it means to be a fighter pilot from the perspective of you're in the air and someone's trying to shoot you down. What do you go through to do that? In fact, you go through the same things a fighter pilot does when debugging, except for the getting killed bit. He came up with this weird thing called the ego loop, which sounds like the least fighter piloting thing possible. His idea was you're in this plane, and there's another guy coming at you. What are the things you actually go through? So initially, you observe the situation, right? You observe what's going on around you. Where am I? Where is the guy? Where is the star? All the things that there are there happening. How's my aircraft performing? How much fuel have I got? This is what you're doing. And you then interpret that, he calls this orientation. You interpret that in terms of For example, what you know about the tactics of the other person, what you know about what you can do, and then you make a decision about what you do. Essentially, you make a hypothesis. If I do this, I'll be better off. I'll shoot him, or I'll fly over here, or I'll decelerate, or do something. And then you do it, right? When he refers to this as testing your hypothesis, right? You know, if I fire a missile, maybe it'll work. And you then go around in this loop and do that thing, and then you observe what's happened. And essentially what he said, there's a hell of a lot in what he wrote about this, and there's all these other things going on. But he said you observe as much as you can, you then interpret, you do something, you decide and you do something, and you loop around. And the reason it's a loop is that you keep doing this. And the tighter you can make this loop, the better fighter pilot you are, right? The faster you can observe, the faster what you can decide, and so on. So what's interesting about this is nothing about the performance of the aircraft. This is all about the performance of the person running it. And when you're doing debugging, it's often, you think, oh, I've got to get this debuggers and all these kind of things. And actually, what you want to be doing is tightening a loop of deciding what are you going to do about this bug. What's happening? So I'm going to talk about this. This is sort of the frame of reference for that. And you can think of yourself as a fighter pilot, right? That makes it much more exciting than a guy at home with somebody telling you what the hell are you doing with a bunch of polystyrene in the kitchen. Okay. So I really think the greatest debugging you've got is in your head. And I think that people often, when debugging, get lost in the sea of tools they can get and things they're trying to understand about the programming language they're using, and I don't understand what's going on. And actually thinking and stepping back is really the key to debugging. As you want to look at this thing and go, why is it breaking like this? And in fact, not, oh, I need to know blah, 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 but let's think about the situation. And if you go back to Boyd's thing about the observation is very wide. Why could this bug be happening? So you need to sort of think laterally around where you are. Because it's often not obvious. Right? I had a bug in mind where, when I was testing it, where the GPS, I suddenly would not get GPS data, it would be corrupt. Now, I sat there and I was like, okay, what could possibly be causing it? Right? When you start to think about that, it's like, well, you know, my GPS module broken, is my cable bad? Or you can start working through it. And eventually I sat there without doing anything and thought, actually, I think the most likely thing is that I'm getting an interrupt from something else on my device, which is interrupting the serial connection, which is causing corruption. And in fact, what was happening was there was another interrupt coming in from another device at the same time, and the solution was one instruction in machine code, which was to disable interrupts during the period where I wanted to get that in transmission. So there's a vast scope to where bugs come from. And the other thing is to run code in your head, to look at your code and imagine its operation. Right? A lot of people use debuggers and try and step through. It's amazing how powerful your brain is in terms of running code. You can actually look at it and say, okay, this must be this, and this must do this, and this will do this, and this will do this. And also how much broader that is than using a tool like a debugger, which is very focused on a single line of code, because you begin to understand what your code is doing. And I strongly advise people, when they are debugging, to look at where they think the bug is and run that code in their head. You go, okay, well, it must be this, because you will discover things about it that you didn't realize. You're essentially looking at it fresh. So my version of the OODA loop is this. You're going to reproduce things, isolate them, target them, fix them, excise them. If you put fix here, this becomes just, and it doesn't work. So it has to be something attractive. Okay, reproduce. So why am I going to, obviously Don Johnson, my advice. The reason I've got this is that I worked on networking drivers a long time ago, and I had a particular bug that was reproducible, and this is how you reproduced it. You started transmitting a file across the network, and on the machine that was receiving it, you played the theme tune from Miami Vice. That was literally how you reproduced it. You had to get the thing going, press play on this little media player thing. This is on like a 386 machine, through the sound card, right? Well, I drove my colleagues insane as I was working. And there was one guy who came over literally with a pair of clippers and cut the cable to the speaker in the machine I had. Luckily that didn't break it, you just had to play, you didn't have to listen to Axel F, so it was okay. So the first thing is to get it reproducible. It's not good enough for your reproducible to be, I did a flight and I lost my flight, right? You need to get some way where you can say, okay, if I do this, this will happen, no matter what it is, even if it's playing my device theme tune. So that repeatability, this is where you get into this looping thing, is the really key thing, because as you're debugging, you're going to try something, and you're going to go through this loop where you say, okay, I've tried this thing, I'm trying to understand the situation, so you need to be able to reproduce it as fast as you can. So that actually, the fast as you can is very important. That's what I call the, stuck on Don Johnson. Why can I not get past Don Johnson? I literally just think about it. Where is this next slide? Okay, we're going to go back a bit. Sorry about that. I mean, he's a very attractive guy, but you know, it's the limit to what we want to see here. Maybe it hadn't just hadn't loaded it from there. Right. Okay. I'm going to do it like this to avoid the Don Johnson problem. Okay. So what you want to do is once you've reproduced it, you want to isolate it down to the smallest possible thing you can. The smallest possible thing can mean lots of different things. You want it to be quick to reproduce. Somewhere you can do it quickly, right? I mean, on that network one, I got it to the point where I could hit play and do those things really, really fast. So something because the tighter that loop, the quicker you're going to debug, and the less frustrating. The smallest. What I mean by the smallest is the smallest amount of infrastructure or input. So, for example, you know, if it's after an hour of operation it dies, that's actually a long time to wait, right? So if you can narrow it to something, I can manage to make it happen. One good example of this is if you're taking in lots of data. Suppose it's after I've got this simulated GPS with 3 million rocks, and then after that it gives me an error. If you can then narrow it down to this particular line, for example, or it's this particular piece of data that comes in. So you want to absolutely, the first thing you want to do when you get a bug that you're really worried about is narrow it as possible. And also, most easily repeated, something that you can just do over and over again. And if that means taking a piece of code out of your entire infrastructure and putting it in a new program and just running that one piece of code. I mean, one common thing that you see lots and lots of times in HAV projects is you cross the meridian and everything goes crazy, right? That's happens all the time. It's quite easy to take a little piece of code that's actually reading latitude and longitude, put it in some other little program that you can run over and over again and see what happens, right? And you can adjust the input. So get yourself something really simple. Get it out of my whole, well, I have to start my thing and this thing has to boot up and blah, blah. You don't want to do that. So make it small, fast, and easily repeated. And then this is absolutely vital, is automate it. Make it somehow something that you can just go, do it, watch it crash or whatever, over and over again. This will be the test case, right? This will stop you doing it again. If you can write yourself something automatic, it becomes a test case, and in the future you'll never have this bug again. So do those things. So that's isolating it. That's what happens by the first page down. Okay, now this is again, it's very important. I want to talk about now. Okay, so now you've got this piece of code that fails in some way, and you need to find the bug in it. So what you need to do is target where that bug really is. You may know what line of code is, but you may not. The reason I've got this here is that if there's a thing called wolf fence debugging. Does anybody know about wolf fence debugging? Okay, so suppose there's one wolf in Alaska, right? How do you find the wolf? Right? Well, what you do is you build a fence all the way in the middle, and you wait for it to howl, and you go, okay, well, it's on the left side of the fence. And then you do the same thing again. You build a fence halfway across that bit, night after night. Now that's a bit slow for reproduction, but right? So you can eventually cut it down until you've got your wolf in one particular location. The same thing is very valuable with debugging anything in software, is to narrow where the problem is. So you can literally say, it's this piece of code here, or I know because I ran it in my head that it gets to here safely. But you want to get down to the smallest area of code you can, because ultimately you want to get down to like one line of code where you go, oh, okay, yeah, that's the mistake I've made. This is very, very important. You need to constantly, when you're debugging, you ask why is this happening, right? Why is this value here 32? Why is that coming out like this? Again, using your head to debug is really valuable rather than just worrying about tools and the language you're in. Constantly be asking why things are breaking, because you'll actually find the answer by asking things. A good example of this is debugging Christmas lights. So here's my incredible drawing skills here. And if you have this kind of Christmas lights and the bulb breaks, then obviously the whole string of lights goes out. there's a fun way to debug this, which is you remove this bulb, and you remove this bulb, and you remove the middle one, and you use some sort of continuity tester to figure out which half there's a break in, right? So you sort of go, okay, I've got continuity there, and I haven't got it here, so it must be in here. And you do half again, half again, and half again. Right? This sort of thing happens, again, it's like the wolf fence thing. You can narrow down very rapidly where your problem is. Obviously, we fix this problem by not having this, having LEDs and they don't break. But should you come across this problem, you'll remember to do that. The other essential skill is doubting. What I mean by doubting is that when you have code, one of the first things people say when they're debugging is, it can't possibly do that, right? This can't possibly be that. That value can't possibly be negative. Latitude can't possibly be negative. Okay, well, longitude can't possibly, or the temperature can't possibly be more than 100 centigrade, or all sorts of things like that. You should always doubt that your program, first of all, has got valid inputs, and that you actually know what it does, because you'll have surprises. There was an example I gave last year about some code that was reading from the GPS, and it was making all sorts of assumptions about what the GPS was saying. And you should always do this. You should always doubt, and you should always doubt that you yourself know what a particular thing does. It's always worth looking at. For example, I call this particular function, which is inside the library. Go back and read the documentation for that, because it's quite often the case. You go, oh, under that circumstance, it doesn't do what we think, and you find the doubting, or those kind of negatives, actually very helpful in debugging, because it breaks your assumption about what your code is doing. All right, and then fix it. All right, now, so the key thing about fixing a bug is to not introduce new bugs. In the example of the crossing the meridian problem, we've seen this in the past, where it's like, I fixed it, and then the next flight happens and some other weird stuff happens right there, right? So it's actually, one of the problems with debugging is that as you do it, it's exhausting, right? You've gone through all this stuff, and finally you fix the bug, so you quickly fix it. And usually that quickly fix is something else breaks, right? You accidentally break something. So it's worth, I think, when you know what the bug is, stepping away from the machine, going and having a beer, just sort of relaxing, and then coming back and fixing it. One beer, 2 is going to be difficult. But if you stop for a moment, then you'll begin to understand better the other things that are around your bug. And obviously you wrote this test case before, didn't you? Which you can now run, and now your code works, and you can go, yes, my code works. Okay, so just think about that. The key things are, that tight loop where you can try stuff out, try hypotheses, test things, getting that to be automated, narrowing it down by simple methods, dividing into and things like that, and then fixing it. Now, there are some sort of caveats to this. One thing that's very, very valuable is to talk to an inanimate object, or someone who doesn't know anything about the program, or someone who doesn't even speak the same language. The reason for this is that when you start to articulate the problem you are seeing, something happens in your brain and you often get the answer. And loads of programmers have had this experience where they'll go to a colleague and they'll say, and I do this now at work, I go to them and say, I got this problem, and what's happening is I go there and X is, and you go, oh, I know what it is, and you walk away. And the colleague has never said anything, right? Now, this is actually Alan Turing's teddy bear called Porgy. And he apparently used to talk to this teddy bear while practicing lectures and things like that. It's something about literally speaking. When I actually working on my blue, I talked to my wife, and she knows nothing about programming at all. So I'd say, well, this is happening, and there's an interact, and that's what it must be. It really, really helps. I know it seems stupid, but go talk to some cat, anybody. Speak it. Actually speak it. It makes a huge difference. The other thing is once you've found a bug, take a look around. It's well known and documented. IBM did a lot of research on this. That bugs tend to cluster. The example of the crossing the meridian, there were lots of problems in the same area. The reason for this is there are lots of different reasons. One is, if there's a bug in there, it's often a sign that you as a programmer weren't quite sure about that anyway, and so you've made more than one mistake. Right? You haven't just there was an area of doubt for you, so that there's a problem. So you'll tend to then, I like to look at the other lines of code and go, what else is going on here? What did I do? Sometimes you just want to rewrite everything. Go and look, and there's loads of research. So do look around. What else could I have done wrong here? What are the problems that could be created? I'll give you another example. This is a real line of code in a program that I I didn't write the line of code, but I debugged. There were 5 bugs in a single line of code. So this is a piece of JavaScript. It's trying to make a file writable, and because it needs to. And first of all, it's completely wrong. It changes the permissions without asking the user. It doesn't actually make the file writable. This is the wrong value to make a file writable. It creates a security hole because actually does it on the directory, not on the file. So and actually the directory it was opening was I think it was like /program files in the machine. Suddenly changing the permissions on it. They use decimal rather than octal. This is meant to be octal. There should be a 0 in the front here. So it was completely wrong. And also the comment was wrong. So, but this is a good example because the actual guy who wrote this, when I told him, I said, this is completely wrong. He's like, I wasn't sure about that. And that's exactly the sort of thing, right? Where you're not sure about it. And if you're not sure about something, I actually like into my code to write a little note to myself saying, come back to this, I'm worried about this. So, because it probably is bad. Okay, so if you remember one thing from this talk, your brain is more important than your tools. A test, which you can run quickly, will save you lots of effort. And a print statement. This is Brian Kernigan, who works in C. He's got this quote, which is, still the most effective form of debugging is the well-placed print statement. Right? Once you've narrowed things down, you've got to reproduce it, narrow it down to some point, going in there and saying, what's the value of X? Or did I reach this piece of code? And they can be printing to the console, writing to a log file. I actually worked on a system where it was so high speed that all we did was we had an assembly language thing that could write single characters directly to the screen. You'd get this like random characters all over the screen, but that was enough, right? There was enough information there. Shannon would be happy. There was enough information to say, oh, that's an A. That means we're here. That value is X. This is the thing to remember. Use your brain, write it in test case, get information out of your program. I think that's it. I don't know any more pictures of celebrities. No, okay, cool. All right, thanks very much.